I've been really enthusiastic about Sire guitars and done a lot of videos on them. I like to kind of stay in touch and see if things are changing. I've been a little bit worried about what I'm seeing in terms of there's so many new models coming out from Sire that I wanted to kind of just check that the core of what they do is still, you know, what I knew these things for, which were really pretty good guitars for the price. It's tough, isn't it? So I asked if we could put in Beat It into the set, and we didn't actually have it in the set. And then I took this to my gig last night. Very happy with it in general. The gig went pretty well. It's super comfortable playing lead up here is really what I noticed. Really decent accessibility. Yeah, as I say, super comfortable up here. In general, works really nicely, didn't have any problems. But second song before it, third, the one before the penultimate song, played Beat It, and as you saw in the intro there, went for that bend at the 22nd fret, and like at home, what had been happening, or had happened, the E string broke. Now I can kind of see the culprit here, there's a burr. You may be able to see it here. Probably going to have to try and sand that out a bit, and hopefully that will stop this happening. I don't know if this is a thing sort of exclusive to any type of guitar, but you know, when this sort of thing happens, I guess knowing that it's fixable is a good thing. But I can see it's breaking the strings because essentially there's this little burr here which is presumably catching at certain points when the strings move, and that's what's causing the break. But neck shape good, tuning stability good when it's not got a broken string. A fairly decent weight. I'm glad I tried gigging it because it did the job really well. The neck pickup may be a little bit dark. Bridge pickup actually super nice. Yeah, that's the gig report.
This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses.
Right, so there's a string breakage there. So something that was happening with the Silver Sky SE actually when I got a couple of them, and that can mean that there's a sharp saddle or a burr somewhere. You know, typically I don't actually break strings, so there's a little bit of a flag there. Okay, so things have changed quite considerably at Sire Guitars. I have kind of watched this with some intrigue. I don't actually get paid by Sire, but they have in the past sent me guitars. I bought more guitars from Andertons. They've never paid me to do an actual demo or anything like that. But I did sort of reach out. I got a friend interested in this particular model. What I want from Sire Guitars really is to be able to reliably sort of unbox them and take them to a gig. That's kind of for me what I hope is the result of this. I've got a gig this evening, a nice local one. You know, it's 2 hours of playing, you want it to be comfortable and stuff like that. Sire gig bags themselves are actually incredibly well made, I think. So if you're thinking about whether or not to get a gig bag, if they're well priced, I would consider those. Now this is looking pretty fantastic out of the box. Let's dig a little deeper. What gives me a little bit of question marks around this stuff is that Sire have quite quickly moved on to a bunch of other models. Now this looks, I have to say, really quite good to my eyes. We got that dark roasted maple, it's got some flame to it, that's lovely. And also then a rosewood fretboard, so you don't have the slightly weird vibes that you get with the previous models where the neck was kind of glossy. The action looks a little bit high, I might have to give that a tweak. See. So yeah, the action looks quite high. Try and show you a close up here. So it looks pretty clean. So good work from that point of view. But I would say that the action, whether this is like a weather thing, seems to be a bit high. So I'm going to lower that. But in general, looking pretty good. But yeah, I think I might be able to see like there's quite a bit of clearance there. So I'm going to just lower that a bit, just with a quick tweak of the truss rod, I think. Yeah, I've lowered the action a bit. In this price range, I think the options are growing a little bit. I think something like the PRS Silver Sky is a little bit more expensive now, but for me personally, I feel like maybe the neck on that suits my hands potentially a little bit better. Similar feel in terms of quality. I think Harley Benton probably makes some good stuff around this price range as well that might be worth a look. It's got a similar thing I found in the past going on with like the Silver Sky SE, where the pickups are quite sort of modern voiced potentially, so that's one area maybe if you wanted like the most stratty sounding Strat.
like it's quite a modern sounding instrument.
It weighs about £7.15, and that's, you know, a little bit on the heavier side for a Strat, but at this price point, that is kind of what you get. And even, I guess, a little bit further up this price point, like the Fender American Vintage 2 that they sent me was about the same weight as this. Very similar colour, actually, as well. But yeah, so that was a guitar sort of 4 times the price nearly, and that was about the same weight. I think it's possible to, if you're focusing on keeping weights of guitars down, to use essentially drier, more mature wood, and that I think is one of the things that can help keep the weights down, if that's important to you. But anyway, it still comes in at under £8, which I think is a respectable target.
Free to share in the comments your own experiences with Sire guitars. I think it's important, if we're going to do videos with stuff, that you, as you know, people that have bought them as well, have your opportunity to talk about, you know, perhaps where Sire haven't got it quite right for you. I think when you're building guitars at scale, I think it's important to have some idea, you know, that sometimes the quality might not be up to par, and that's why I've tried to kind of be totally honest about the experience with Sire guitars as I've had them. In general, I've been very impressed. I have shown you out of the box a couple of others where, you know, maybe the fret radiusing was like a little bit overzealous. That's not the case on this guitar. That's part of the way that they get the frets feeling comfortable, is this sort of, as you roll the fretboard edge, necessarily the frets get a little bit of that as well. In the past, on a couple of examples, I felt like they'd sort of gone a little bit over the top, but here we're kind of good. So yeah, a very good feeling instrument. I think good, solid, respectable guitars.